Good afternoon, everybody. This is David Cerns from Haley Marketing, and welcome to today's Lunch with Haley webinar. Today, we are going to be having hopefully a lot of fun talking about a topic that's sort of been an overall theme for all of us at Haley Marketing Group for 2018. And that theme is around smart marketing. And what we're really trying to get all of our clients and everybody in the staffing industry and everybody we talk to do is to think about how can I invest in marketing in a more intelligent way? How can I get more results out of the activities, out of the time, out of the money that I'm investing into marketing? How can I basically get more return on investment? And how can I do a better job of, as you see on screen, attracting, engaging, and converting clients and candidates? So again, the theme for today is to think smarter, and that doesn't mean everybody on today's call is not thinking smarter, but what we want to do is challenge your thinking. Look at how you're selling. Look at how you're recruiting today. Are there new ways to approach old problems? Are there new tools, techniques? Are there better ways to implement things that you're already doing to help you attract clients, attract candidates, get more of them to place job orders and click that apply button on your website? Some of the ideas in here you're going to find to be really simple, straightforward. Some of them may be a little different than you may have looked at your marketing before, but we're about to go through a series of marketing practices, a lot of things we see people doing wrong, and ideas as to how you might do them better to drive more response. So what are we going to do? We're going to take a look at 20 specific marketing mistakes that we commonly see people make and some of the things that you can do to resolve them. Along the way, please feel free, if you have a question, use that question window and go to webinar, shoot me a question, and I'll do my best to integrate this into the presentation. And before we get started, I also want to give a shout out to Brad Smith, who is not joining us today, but I have to give him a lot of credit because he did a lot of the background research to help come up with some of the ideas for these 20 marketing mistakes and help come up with some of the specific pieces of advice that we're going to recommend. So that's stated, let's jump in with number one. So what is the first challenge? Well, it's bad marketers. The big mistake we see, number one, is the lack of value or not having a value proposition. And in staffing, it's really no surprise that if you want to get someone to not treat you as a commodity, you want to think about a strong value proposition. And that could be to the client or to the candidate. Why do clients buy from you and not from the 50 other competitors in your community? Maybe you'll say, hey, it's our service, but what about your service is different? How does that service provide value to your clients in a way that your competitors don't? What kinds of problems are you solving? I mean, a value proposition is usually about solving some sort of business problem. So what kinds of problems can you solve better than anybody else in your market, better than anybody else in the world? What are you doing to make job seekers' lives easier? Is your value helping people to find a job? Is it filling the job faster? Is it providing access to talent? Is it making it easier to find people or find a job? Are you providing cost savings? Are you giving companies simply a better ability to meet their own business objectives and get work done by providing talent who's more reliable, more affordable, more productive, or freeing their key people to focus on strategic business initiatives? On the recruiting side, your value is in helping people find jobs they can't find on their own. We had a chat this morning with our team about recruiting in the staffing industry, and one of the points that we made is that as a staffing company, you do something that is very difficult for a job seeker to do by themselves. You provide access to dozens or hundreds, or in some cases, thousands of companies' jobs through one resource, your firm. You can help a job seeker evaluate different companies, figure out what's the best fit for them, find the opportunity that's going to maximize their career better than they ever could on their own. But our challenge is creating that value proposition with the candidate, knowing our core value to those people, and then making that a fundamental component of how we market to them so that we're getting the word out about what we really can do to help others. All right, number two, bad marketers are self-centered. We is only for the three little pigs. What do we mean by that? Is smart marketing is you focused. So often we see websites or brochures, or we even hear salespeople where the presentation is, we offer great service, we're the best at recruiting for XYZ, and it's blah, blah, blah. If you're going to engage another human being, you don't engage people by talking about yourself. You talk about them. You talk about their interests, their needs, their challenges, their problems. And I know this is really 101 kind of stuff from a sales perspective, but go read your own website. How many times do you use the word you versus some derivation of the word we? How often are you talking about your capabilities versus the value you provide and the problems you solve? A strong marketing organization will use you or some version of you 3 to 4 times more often than they use we, because you're talking to the people you'd like to do business with, to the individuals you'd like to place. And that communication is on your website, in your print materials and presentations that you're giving, even in the sales messaging, what your recruiters are saying. Are they talking about you? Are they being candidate focused? Are your salespeople being client focused first, and then secondarily coming around to talking about we and the specific problems you solve and the specific value you can provide based on what the client, the candidate needs? All right, our next bad marketing example. Bad marketers have no understanding of their customers' needs. Now, I would say that everybody on today's calls understands what your clients want. You understand that they need people. You understand the kinds of people that they want. You ask great probing questions during meetings. But do you understand the value of what you're delivering? Do you understand the implication of the problems they have? I'm a huge fan of a book written long ago called Spin Selling by Neil Rockham. And spin selling, spin is an acronym, S-P-I-N. So S is the situation. Do I have an understanding of the client's current situation? What's the status quo today? What problem are they having? And that's the P, is the problem. Tell me the problems they're having that are related to hiring people. What issues in their business cause them to need temporaries? Why do they need full-time employees? Or the candidate, why are they leaving their current job? Or why are they willing to look at us for new job opportunities? What's the pain point they have? Is it just about getting a paycheck, or are they looking for something more? The I is the implication. So I know a customer is in a current situation. I know a problem they have, but what's the implication of that problem? If they don't solve the problem, what will it cost their business? How long will it take them to recover? What will be the economic impact of not getting that widget built or a shipment out the door or that coding project done on time? What will be the implication if they can't find the hire for that job opening and it sits vacant for 3 months? And then lastly, the N in spin is needs payoff. So if you deliver the value you promise, what's the payoff to the client of that value? Understanding spin allows you to be a smart marketer, and then you can build your messaging around client and candidate personas. So what does that mean? If you think about the spin selling, I'm thinking about situation, problem, implication, needs, payoff, but not for my clients in total. I'm going to think about subsegments of my clients and build a persona, a description of that particular segment of my marketplace. So for example, if I'm in IT staffing and I've got Fortune 500 clients and I've got high-tech startup clients, the way they look at staffing is completely different. The VMS buyer or the MSP contract manager, program manager that I'm dealing with looks at the world differently than a small business owner. So if I'm a salesperson, if I'm a marketer in that staffing company, I want to create a persona for my different types of customers. How old are they? What genders do I tend to see? What's their view of the staffing industry? What's their potential needs for our services? What's the potential value we can deliver? How do they view the world? If I understand how people think, I can then craft my value around the specific needs, wants, and interests of each of those personas that I've defined. And what I really want you to think about is sit down with your sales team and think about, okay, we're going to make calls to various types of clients. First, we're going to talk to a gatekeeper. What's the persona of the gatekeeper? What's the persona that, what's that gatekeeper want and need in order to allow me through to talk to the decision maker? How about human resources? Let's do the same thing with them. We know they want to be in control of the staffing decision, but maybe they don't understand the business case as well as the hiring manager that I'd like to deal with. So I need to make a different value for HR, one that's about their risk mitigation, their problem solving for HR, versus the hiring manager who cares about quality and responsiveness and can you get me this person yesterday, whereas HR is worrying about compliance and, did you go properly through our systems and did you not talk to the hiring manager because I said not to. So we want to think about, in selling and in marketing, crafting our value proposition to each audience. And if you haven't done informal interviewing of clients, I would recommend doing regular interviewing of clients to understand their perceptions, not just about your company and your service, but about staffing in total. How do they view our industry? You may even go so far as to do a survey. We did a couple of big surveys last year and the year before with candidates to understand healthcare candidates. What do nurses think? We also did IT candidates to understand what do they think, how do they perceive staffing. And in each case, we found some amazing insights that were very different than our preconceived notions about how they viewed the staffing industry, how they viewed their careers. And having that information allowed us to craft much more effective marketing messages to those types of individuals. So another simple question when you're making sales calls is to ask your clients, ask your candidates about their biggest challenges or what problems keep you up at night. If I know even just the answer to that one question, what keeps you up at night, I can think about what's the real value my staffing company is able to deliver in helping you get a good night's sleep. All right, our next challenge, bad marketers lack appeal, emotional appeal, that is. We tend to think in business, particularly when we're selling business to business, that our clients are very rational individuals. So we're going to talk to them about the value of our services, the quality of the candidates we can provide, the thoroughness of our service process, and what we do to ensure a good quality staffing experience. But smart marketers use emotions to create a response. They understand that emotions trigger us to think certain ways, to act certain ways. I remember hearing a marketing consultant years ago, and he had this great one-liner, and he said that all decision making, business to business, business to consumer, is made emotionally. It's just that people then will justify their decisions using rational criteria. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. Maybe purchasing is a little bit different, that they're going to be more rational about numbers. But we want to think about the emotions that drive someone to make business decisions. What are they afraid of happening? Is it being out of compliance with the law? Is it the government coming after them for ACA or independent contractor compliance issues or workers' comp? Do I have empathy to their fears that they have? Or maybe it's positive emotions, joy, happiness, and being able to envision what I could become in my career or where I want to go in my business. Maybe it's big negative emotions like anger. Am I dealing with problems I'm really just pissed off about? And while I don't want your staffing company to position yourself as somebody who makes people pissed off, the fact that you can empathize with the pain your clients feel allows you to do that last word there, which is to build trust with them. Because ultimately, staffing, recruiting, it's a relationship business, and people are going to work with organizations they trust, and trust is 100% emotional. Now, you may back up the emotions with things like, hey, we're best of staffing. Hey, here's the metrics on our fill time and our fill percentage and our fall-off rate. But that trust comes from the individual presenting the metrics, the organization that's behind them. Do they believe what you're saying? When you think about selling and you think about recruiting and you think about your clients and your candidate, what emotions are going to tie most closely to the value you provide? And it's not going to be the same answer for everybody on today's webinar, but I want you to think about what emotions matter to my clients. If I'm doing high volume industrial staffing, Okay, the emotions may be simply, I want the peace of mind of not getting yelled at because we're short 10 workers today. Or I want the peace of mind of knowing we can get today's work delivered or all those packages shipped. But if I'm in medical staffing, the emotion might be the fear of, I can't afford to have a nurse in here who is not fully vetted, fully qualified, fully credentialed. And if a staffing company tries to pull the wool over my eyes, you could put me out of a job. I might be really nervous. So you want to think about what emotions your clients have around the staffing decision and how you can tie your marketing around the appropriate positive or negative emotions. Now, negative emotions are great for getting people's attention. Positive emotions are great for conveying your value. Ultimately, emotions are about evoking a response. One of the keys to driving return on investment is for people to have that emotional connection with your organization, have that excitement about the value you can provide. If I'm a candidate and I truly believe you're fighting for me, you're going to get me the best job opportunity, I'm going to want to work with you. And that's going to give you an opportunity to get better quality candidates, get a greater quantity of candidates, and fill more of those open job orders. And likewise, if I'm a client, I want positive emotions around the value you can deliver to me. Or maybe if I'm in HR, I just want to avoid all the fear I live my day in and day out life in of other people being upset with me or doing my job wrong or getting fired. Deal with their emotional issues and you'll have a better sales and recruiting response. All right, we're going to switch over a little bit. A lot of that's been kind of high-level messaging. Let's talk about websites. And one of the biggest thing we see in bad staffing websites are missing the call to action. If you think about your website, you're trying to get people not just to read a brochure about your services, but you're trying to get them to take an action. Ideally, you'd like nothing better than the world to beat a path to your website and contact you about staffing services or apply to your job openings. That doesn't happen by chance. It happens by design. So having really good calls to action built into every page of your website and throughout each of the pages of your website, they're essential to getting people to doing what you want them to do. Go look at your site and start right on the home page and go to the services page and go to the job seekers page and go to About Us and go to every subpage and look. Does every page give people a chance to convert? Is there a button, a link, a graphic driving people to take action? Are you making it easy for people to respond and to know how to respond? Are you using things like pop-ups or fly-ins to really draw somebody's eye and get them to take the actions you want them to take? Are you looking into, we're going to talk more about this later, but are you looking at things like analytics to see which pages are most visited on our website, and specifically, are those pages really optimized to drive action? And your actions can be things: apply now, sign up for job alerts, call us today, request an employee, download our ebook. You can brainstorm idea after idea after idea as to why someone might respond to you. And also, every response doesn't have to be a sale. It doesn't have to be a job order. It doesn't have to be applying. A response is about establishing, building, deepening a relationship you have with someone. So signing up for a job alert is about deepening a relationship with that candidate to make them part of your talent community. Opting in for a newsletter is about deepening a relationship where someone's interested in the ideas you have to share. And those are completely valid types of calls to action where you're getting people to engage with your company, and over time, playing the long game here, those people who engage with your content are going to be the ones who build that emotional bond, that are become the individuals who think you're their trusted advisor, and then they want to do business with you. Bad websites are immobilized. So when we think about the web today, and Haley Marketing Group, along with probably every other web developer on the planet, has been on the mobile bandwagon since 2011 or 2012 and beating the drum saying, you must be optimized for mobile, you must be optimized for mobile, you must be optimized for mobile. Well, guess what? We're now at the point where 56% of our clients' staffing companies' web traffic is coming from mobile devices. For a lot of our light industrial and lower level clients with lower level jobs, we're seeing an even larger percentage of candidate traffic is on mobile devices. The numbers continue to grow year in and year out. Unfortunately, I was talking to someone this morning. Website was never optimized for mobile. It was built a long time ago. It doesn't respond. They're losing at least 56% and probably more of the traffic coming to their website who see something that's not usable on mobile. Those candidates, those clients, they're out of there. On mobile, you want to think about creating a great online experience. It's fundamental to smart marketing. And what does an great online experience mean? Well, you have to think about the experience both from a desktop perspective and a mobile perspective. Not just the pictures. Did I use fun pictures? Did they get people's attention? But how easy is it to get to the actions that I want to take? How effectively are we driving people to the information that they came to the site looking for? How many clicks does it take to get there? How many things get in the way, or are there impediments to taking an action? How simple are those forms to fill out? Do I need to fill in a whole bunch of fields, or can I click one button and it fills in the blanks for me? On mobile, do I need to cut down the copy? Do I need to remove some of the pages that we don't really need on that mobile site? Can I add in features that take advantage of what a smartphone can do? Things like a click here for directions that pulls up a map on their phone, or a click to call that immediately dials the phone number for you. Again, you're just trying to think about the candidate, the client's experience on whatever device they're using to go to your website. Have you thought it through? Have you tested it? And are you making it as easy as possible to do business with your company? Because if you're not, one of your competitors is, and those candidates who are giving you 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds to check out your website are going to leave and go on to somebody else if you haven't optimized that experience. Bad marketers use words. Not bad words, just too many words. This was another one. I was on a call with a client of ours this morning. Wonderful organization, but they have a lot of people who have a lot of things to say about their company and their capabilities and their specialties. And the problem is they want to say too much. People want to write very long copy about themselves. They want to really explain things down to a minute detail, but that's not the goal of a website. That's not the goal of a brochure. Smart marketing is concise and focused. And what I mean by that is you're trying to think about what's the minimum, the absolute minimum number of words that I can use to A, convey a point, and B, get someone to keep reading or take the next step. Ideally, can you explain your value to a client or prospect in 10 words or less? Think about billboards, not books. Particularly on the web today, we're all so impatient that if we can't scan a page and see what it's all about, we're done. So if your homepage has that old school SEO of we need to have 500 plus words of copy on the homepage, yeah, it's great for search engines, but it's lousy for humans. And we need to make sure that our web homepage, the beginning of our brochure, instantly pulls people in. So we need that 10 words or less that's really engaging. Now, I'm not bashing long copy. Long copy is awesome for SEO. And when you get to blog posts and content that's deep in your site, ebooks, white papers, that long format content should be there. It should be there. It's awesome. It's necessary for search engine optimization. It's great for sharing on social media. But when people first visit your website, tell the story as quickly as you can on the high level pages. Make it skimmable so I can start with the headlines, skim through the subheadlines, and then choose if I want to read any more detail. And the other thing that's very related is to use simple language your clients understand, not lots of jargon. Now there's a caveat to what I just said. If you're in a really technical industry, and it doesn't mean IT, it just means anything where jargon is the norm in your industry. I was talking with somebody that's a military contractor last week, and everything's an acronym. Well, if their website didn't use those acronyms, which made no sense to me as a layperson, but if their website didn't contain those acronyms, that jargon is appropriate for the audience. It needs to be there. That is the simple language of their industry. But sometimes I see websites where people want to be too formal. They want to use long sentences and big words. Don't do that on your website. Make it simple. Make your brochure simple. You can be very eloquent when you're in a sales presentation, when you're recruiting. But when you're asking people to read, and sometimes, I hate to admit it, but they're reading when they're driving down the road in their car. They stop at a stoplight and they're just trying to skip through their email or look at a web page. Make it so it's got that billboard-like mentality. I can very quickly get the gist, and you've got the call to action to take me to the next step. Which sort of goes to the counterbalance to what I just said is bad marketers who don't make time for some of that long format content, for blogging, content, and SEO value. So as I just mentioned, long format content isn't dead just because we've all become impatient. Videos are long format content. Webinars, like we're doing right now, are long format content. Transcriptions of videos and webinars are great long format content. So smart marketers are thinking about, I need fresh, relevant information regularly added to my website that gives people a reason to visit with us and a reason to learn more about our services, to learn more about their own industry, their own business, to learn more about how staffing and recruiting can deliver value to them as a client or as a candidate. If you're thinking about search engine optimization, and who doesn't want to be the top of search results when people are looking for any keywords related to your business, the best way to do that is through regularly adding content. That content's going to be blog posts, it's going to be job posts, it's going to be testimonials, it's going to be case studies. It's going to be the new stuff that you're doing that you can write about to turn into information on your website that when people are running a search, they will find. And the other thing I'm going to say that's related to SEO, and we're going to talk more about SEO later, is don't get overly focused on everything's about owning page one for staffing company in Chicago, because that's one way people are searching for you, but it's not the only one. You want to get to the point where people are finding you through dozens, hundreds, then thousands of different keywords, because they're searching for all kinds of things that are relevant to their business challenges, their careers, and the things they're searching for then bring them back to the content that you've written about on your website. Maybe they're searching for what it's like to work for a specific company. You've written about it because they're a client of yours. Maybe they're searching for information on an upcoming conference that you're going to be attending. Hey, you've written about it. You've written about perspectives before and after the conference. I've seen clients of ours have their own websites outrank conference sites because they've done so much blogging around an event they were going to be attending. You're doing job fairs regularly. Are you blogging about them? Because that's great content for someone who's thinking about looking for a job. So Google loves content, but human beings love new content too. They're not going to come back to your website if nothing ever changes. So you need to have a strategy for SEO, for social media, even for relationship selling. They all start with a content strategy. And for a content strategy, you're thinking about what information can I share that addresses people's problems, their pain points? What information can I share that's around the interest they have? And I can share that information in ways that I'm trying to deliver real value, and like a white paper is about delivering value. You also may share it in ways that are just entertaining. I've seen some great viral videos that are they're fun. They're ways to learn something. There's a message to the video, but they're fun to watch. And that engaging, that entertaining content is every bit as valuable as that really rich, deep white paper. One of the things that we've been working on with our clients, and for all of our Haley Mail clients, you're going to see more of this coming up in the coming months, is what we call a content pillar strategy, or a pillar content strategy. And the idea is that you first create a large content pillar, something that's big that you can anchor things around. Maybe it's a survey you're doing with a subsequent write-up, white paper or ebook. Maybe it's a long format webinar you're presenting or a video that you've done. Maybe it's an ebook that you've written. But that big piece of pillar content takes a lot to craft, but it's really targeted around something highly valuable to a specific target audience, a persona that we mentioned earlier. Then after that pillar is done, I create the sub-pillars, the supports, and that could be blog posts that I'm going to share around pieces of that pillar content. That can be social graphics that are pulled right out of that piece of pillar content that I'm going to share to drive you back from social media. And then lastly, I'm going to take those sub pieces of the pillar content and I'm going to share them everywhere. I'm going to share them on social media. I'm going to optimize every sub piece and the main pillar content for search engines. I'm going to use pay-per-click advertising to promote and boost the content to my audiences. I'm going to use email. I'm going to use my email signatures. I'm going to get my salespeople to share it when they're making calls. I may print it out and use segments of it as drop-offs. And the idea is that around the pillar, you've now created all of these sub pieces, and over the course of 30, 60, 90 days, you've created a pillar content strategy that optimizes your website, that is targeting one or more specific audiences, that's highly relevant for those audiences, and that gives your team tons of stuff to share in different ways to get people coming back to your website, so that you're helping to optimize the site, you're helping to drive more traffic from social, and then you're getting more people to take action, to convert. All right, another thing we see bad marketers doing is not keeping up with technology, not keeping up with the competition. And smart marketing is about embracing change. I would challenge everybody on today's webinar. I mean, you're on the webinar, so you're here, you're interested in learning. That's already a big feather in your cap to doing things right. But are you regularly reading every single day about things in your industry, in your client's industry, about changes in sales and recruiting technology? Do you listen to some of the podcasts in the industry? And quick plug here, for those who may not know, we launched a podcast last summer called Secrets of Staffing Success, where we interview owners of staffing companies, and we interview some of the best known consultants in the industry and some of the big vendors to get their insights, to have them share what's made their companies or what's made their clients extremely successful, and they're sharing their expertise free of charge. So they'll teach you ways to embrace change. They'll teach you ways you can improve your website, your sales strategy, your recruitment marketing technology, your ATSs, to get more people to respond, to fill more job orders. And again, the podcast is called Secrets of Staffing Success. So jump on your phone and go find it, or you can go to haleymarketing.com, and we've actually have all the episodes in the freebie section. But embrace that learning. Specifically on change, I want you to think about something called Moore's Law. And many of you may know it comes out of the world of information technology, and that says computational processing speed and power will double every 18 months while the cost goes down by half. So if your website has technology that's more than 2 years old, that same law applies. You're on outdated technology. SEO is changing that fast. Web technology is changing that fast. Social media is changing even faster. We're testing stuff literally every single month to see what's working, what new improvements can we make. But when was the last time your website was updated? Your social strategy, your SEO plan. If you think about the changes happening in your business, your client's business, technology, and think about integrating some of the new tools, you can make huge advances in response to your site. Really, candidly, very little effort. But it's also not just technology. Even it's about your business and your client's business. Look at your sales collateral. When was that last updated? Look at what you take to a trade show or to a job fair. When were those materials last updated? Are they telling the right story to candidates in today's marketplace? Have you changed your message from what you said in 2009 to what you're saying today? Because clearly the economy is 180 degrees different. The job market's 180 degrees different. Are your sales and recruiting strategies today 180 degrees different? All right, number 10, we're at the halfway point. Smart marketers are blind to web analytics. So you have to be using your analytics to make decisions. Really, at Haley Marketing Group, that's a lot of what we do. Look into Google Analytics, look into Facebook Analytics, look into other social analytics, look into email marketing analytics to make better decisions. Particularly on Google Analytics. Do you know the leading sources of traffic to your website? What percentage is coming from SEO? What percentage is coming from social? What percentage is coming from direct traffic? What percentage is coming from referrals? What percentage is coming from paid advertising? But not just where's it coming from. Once they arrive there, where do they go? Are you setting up goals so I can see the likelihood of a conversion from somebody coming from social versus search engines versus direct traffic? And I can figure out, even using more refined UTM tracking, which specific campaigns are driving more job applications, are driving more response? What's my cost per job application? What's my cost per sales lead? My cost per click? My cost per like on Facebook? I should know all that. Can I look at the pages that are the highest entry points to my website? Are those optimized to drive response? How about the exit pages? Where are we losing people? You know, in an ideal world, every single person would exit at a thank you page or a contact us page. And the thank you page is the kind of page that shows up after somebody has completed a response form, and you put up a page that says, hey, thanks for submitting your inquiry, we'll get back to you soon. You'd love 100% of your visitors to exit your website at a thank you page, because that means they contacted you. And if they're exiting before that, where are they leaving? And how can you improve those pages to get more people to convert? That's what using analytics is all about. Okay, and bad marketers are ignorant to social media trends. Now, I think everybody in the staffing industry would not really fall into the category of being a bad marketer and being ignorant to social media trends. However, are you using social media and the latest trends to stay top of mind, to create competitive advantage? It's not just about being on social media. It's about driving measurable results from social media. I was looking this morning before this in preparation for today's webinar at some stats on Facebook, and the Pew Research Center found that 8 in 10 US adults use Facebook. And if you've been watching any of the Mark Zuckerberg testimony, clearly our congressmen do not, or at least don't understand what the hell it's all about. But anyway, I digress. But this blew me away. The average visitor on Facebook is spending 20 minutes there. The average person visits Facebook 8 times a day. And this next stat just absolutely blew me away. 1 out of every 5 page views across all websites on the planet are now on Facebook. So if you don't think your clients are on Facebook, you don't think your candidates are on Facebook, you don't think they're using Facebook regularly, you simply put, you're wrong. They're there. And if they're not there directly, someone they know is there, a friend is there, a referral source is there, an influencer is there. And if they're not there, then maybe they're on LinkedIn. And they're using LinkedIn, probably not as frequently, maybe once a month, maybe less if they're not in the job search, maybe more if they're in HR or they're a recruiter. 500 million people use LinkedIn regularly. And everybody on today's call, I'm sure, is using LinkedIn. But what's your strategy? Are you doing it to get people to like your company page? That's not really a good strategy. Are you doing it to drive traffic to your website? That's a better strategy. Are you doing it to leverage your company page and the networks of every one of your employees to drive traffic? That's an even better strategy. Are you using the power of groups to drive very targeted traffic back to your website? That's an even better strategy. We were talking this morning when we were talking about recruiting. One of our clients needs to recruit pilots. And we were talking about the challenges of recruiting pilots. And one of the gentlemen in our office quickly went into Facebook groups, and he found all kinds of groups specifically for pilots on both Facebook and LinkedIn. Thousands and thousands of pilots have their own groups on Facebook and LinkedIn. Now there's an affinity group. I might not have expected to have their own channels of communication on social media, but they do. So whether you believe it or not, whether you like it or not, whether you want to spend time every day on social media or you hate it, your audience is there. Today, investing in a strong social media strategy, a strong presence, it's not a luxury. It's not for people with extra time on their hands. It's a business necessity. If you're invisible on social media, your clients and candidates are going to notice, and it's going to detract from your brand. Social media is going to be used for branding, how you're perceived in your industry, how you're perceived as a thought leader, how you're perceived as an employer. It's going to be used for lead generation, driving clients, driving candidates from social back to your website. And it's also going to be about one-to-one engagement, monitoring what's being said about you, people who are talking to you, and personally engaging sometimes with individuals, sometimes with individuals who are influencers, to try to magnify the conversation and be responsive to people who might be proponents or critics. Bad marketers lack insight. And here, instead of Google Analytics, we're talking about Facebook Insights. So Facebook Insights are a great tool to know what's going on specifically with your Facebook page. So go to your Facebook company page, and at the top of this menu, you'll see one that says Insights, and click on it. And then you can see what's going on with views, the trends in people viewing content, the reach you have for the content you're sharing. Is it getting to people? Who's it getting to? You can see, is our reach going up or going down? Are we getting more people following us or fewer? And the part that I like the most is you can benchmark your competition. What's happening with their reach? And I can just type in the names of their competitors, and Facebook will aggregate data for me about them. Am I doing better or worse than the competition at building my engagement on Facebook? You can also, from that, learn what types of content really matter. And as you see stuff that people are liking and sharing and commenting on, then that's the kind of content that we need to do more of. We need to put more of into the company blog. So I will say, if we go back to the one about emotions, babies and puppies always work. And we want to have some of those just fun, positive things to create engagement on social media. But your social media shouldn't only be about puppies and babies. You also need to have content that is really relevant to the audience, and we want to see what topics are creating engagement as well as what imagery is creating engagement, and then again repeat what's working. So the Facebook Insights, again, you can track the competition and figure out how to drive more engagements just by going to Facebook and looking through the series of graphs that Facebook will present to you. All right. It's another conversation I recently had with somebody really concerned about search engine optimization. They had launched their website very recently, and they do a Google search and they don't show up anywhere. Well, unfortunately, search engine optimization doesn't produce instantaneous results. It can take weeks, months. I think even Google says you should expect a piece of content to truly maximize its optimization in about 6 months. Well, if I've got a new company, or if I've launched a new website, a new URL, people don't know who I am. I want to think about using paid reach strategically to boost my ROI. So I can use paid social and paid Google to target employers and target job seekers. There's a myth that social media is free. Yes, I can share stuff for free, but again, as Mark Zuckerberg is testifying to, Facebook is in the business of selling advertising. LinkedIn is in the business of selling data to people and selling access to people, to employers and recruiting firms and staffing companies like yours. So we want to take advantage of these paid channels, but in the way that makes the most sense. And what we want to do with paid reach is be really targeted about who we want to go after. So we can use paid reach to target people who have previously been to our website. That's called remarketing. By targeting past visitors, we can get them to come back. And you've probably heard us talk about on Lunch with Hilly before that a return visitor is twice as likely to apply to a job as a first-time visitor. So we need to get people back. Yet you're probably spending nothing or a fraction of what you spend on the job boards in getting those same candidates to come back a second or third time. With remarketing, we can follow people around who have already been to our website with advertising and give them reasons to come back and engage with us again. You can take your ATS list and upload it to Google, upload it to Facebook, upload it to LinkedIn, and do a matched audience where I'm only targeting my advertising at people on my list. Again, the benefit is you're engaging with people you had a relationship in the past. I was telling my team at our meeting this morning, like in the olden days, that we used to have reactivation call blitzes where people would come in after hours and we'd try to call every candidate in the database or in the file cabinet with a goal of getting those people to be re-engaged looking for jobs. Well, now we can do that with social media, with paid reach, going after those people via email, via texting, and via targeted paid social to that matched audience to try to reactivate them, re-engage them. We can also target people in specific demographics and specific job titles to advertise job opportunities directly, to build your company brand by sharing content and sharing your expertise. We can think about targeting active and passive job seekers and how they're going to look at jobs differently, and then putting messages that are more appropriate if you're active or passive in front of individuals who may be more likely to be active or passive. All right, this is one of my pet peeves. Bad marketers, they sell and sell and sell and sell and sell and sell and sell. But Great marketing is about engaging. It's about using valuable content to advise, to educate, and then to sell. Um, as a lot of you may know, Gary Vaynerchuk, a very outspoken, kind of foul-mouthed marketing guru. Well, in his book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, he talks about how you get people ready for that big right hook, which is closing the sale with the jabs. But his jab isn't punching people with the soft sales pitch. It's more like pat on the back, pat on the back, pat on the back right hook, because you're using valuable content as a way to constantly get the person positively predisposed to your sales message. You're giving yourself the opportunity to effectively land the right hook, because if you throw that right hook blindly, it's probably not going to land. It's probably not going to have much impact. Content attracts people. Content positions your company. Or if you're an individual, if I'm a recruiter or I'm a salesperson, I can use content to make my personal brand, and content drives action, drives them to the website, drives them closer to the sale. If I'm in sales, if I'm a recruiter and I'm doing cold calling, content is something I can leverage to make my calling activities way more effective. So content is about providing value, building trust, positioning yourself as an expert, jab, 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 and then give them the selling right hook. All right, bad marketers sometimes have an image problem or lack of an image problem. This is another staffing pet peeve. So how many of you on your website have a picture that shows people in 72 different job titles of every possible ethnic, race, gender, religion, anything else you could try to show in a picture? Well, you can raise your hands, but I can't see you. The reality is we see a lot of companies that either use images that are very weak, they look like every other staffing company, very safe and boring, or the other extreme, they agonize over an image where image A and image B are both good and they wouldn't make a difference in response. And so what we want to think about the image problem is, how do we use compelling images to improve conversions? Now, as humans, we process images really fast. So we want to think about, how are we sharing appropriate imagery that does a few things? Does it break through the clutter? If I have an image that's on 2,700 other staffing company websites, it's not going to break through the clutter. I need an image that's different. Can I share an image that helps the visitor, the client, the candidate see themselves in what we do? And if I'm in 10 different skill disciplines, I don't want one image that's trying to do every skill discipline. Think about something else that all those people could relate to, the satisfaction of having a great job, because images are emotional. You've noticed in this presentation, we've had fun with lots of pictures of kids, because lots of them are silly. They're positive emotions. When I see kids that are happy, it makes people smile. I mean, it's hard to look at that little girl in the right corner and not smile back at her. But images convey emotion. Images do that far better than words. They support what the salesperson is doing. When Steve Jobs used to give a presentation, he'd have images behind him with no text. He wanted people listening to him but watching the images, because the two things together are what tell the story. And that's what smart marketers do, is they think about how words and imaging work together to tell a great story. Bad marketing lacks consistency, especially in the results that you're going to get. So smart marketing is about being persistent. Being persistent, if you think about sales calls, how many times do you get a sale on the first cold call? Next to zero. So sales calls, I may need to talk to somebody 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times. In fact, until you've had 5 or 6 contacts with somebody, you're not really even starting to build top of mind awareness with them. But if all you're doing is right hook, right hook, right hook, selling things in those first few communications, that's not positive persistence. We need to think about having a strategy for effective frequency, having the persistence to tell our story the way we want to be told, in a positive way that captures people's attention, gets them interested in our message, makes them want to talk to us. It's about having a marketing calendar or a marketing strategy with planned, consistent touch points. And a great calendar would have the following elements. You start with your goals. What are we trying to accomplish this year or this quarter or this month? What's the overall theme that we're heading towards right now? Is it about how to be better at recruiters, how to avoid losing top talent? What are the secrets of the best employers in our community? I can have a theme around those because what I'm trying to do, my goal is to find companies that are interested in being an employer of choice, that are interested in hiring the best talent, that are interested in retaining their top employees, excuse me. Then I want to think about the specific topics. If this is my overall theme, what topics could I write about? Brainstorm that, research it, Google whatever the overall theme is and come up with lists of ideas for topics. You also might think of your theme is that pillar I mentioned and create one really big piece of content around your pillar and then subtopics off of that big pillar. And then you think about the formats that I'm going to need content in so our sales team and our recruiters can deliver it. I'm going to want to do it on our website in the blog post. Maybe I want to do it in an infographic also. I want some sort of visuals that I can share on social media. I want something we can put in email as an email signature. I want something our salespeople can drop off. I want enough content that lead to questions our sales team can follow up and talk about. So I want to think about all of the formats. And then the last thing is the timing. When are we doing this stuff? And literally put it on a calendar. What are we doing? When are we doing it? And with whom are we doing it? All right, our next bad marketer is about ignoring trolls or worse. We had a client recently, and I won't use any of the language, but some very disgruntled candidate who probably shouldn't have been placed, couldn't have been placed, went to Google reviews and left a really nasty review full of lots of words that started with the letter F, so you can fill in the blanks. What do you do when you get blasted there? Well, there is a strategy. First thing, you want to make sure you know what's happening. Are you closely monitoring your online reputation, and do you have a proactive review program in place? If the trolls hit you, then you need to know how to respond. You know, in the case of somebody on a Google reviews who blasts them with profanity, you can notify Google because they'll take down profanity. They don't want that there. On Facebook, we don't usually advocate deleting a negative review, but if someone's really out of line, absolutely take it down. If someone's challenging you, and maybe they were right about their issue, fess up, admit to it, be honest, be transparent, have a dialogue with someone. That is part of your online reputation, is how you deal with people. You don't want to ignore people. You want to make sure that you're monitoring and actively improving your online reputation. When we do reputation management services for our clients, we will proactively reach out to every client and every candidate after a service experience with an email, and we'll do a 1-question net promoter. You know, a 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend us to a friend or colleague? Anybody who gives you a 9 or 10, we consider them to be a promoter, and we'll get an immediate testimonial that can right away update your website. We'll also encourage those people to go to social media and leave a review. Now, we can't make them do it, but we can encourage them. But anybody who's less than a 9, we want to capture that feedback, give them a chance to vent, and send it to you in a private format. So we're trying to be proactive, even with the negatives, about capturing them before they become F-laced tirades on Google reviews. So you want to make sure that you have a proactive program in place to follow up with every client and every candidate to get their feedback, to address the concerns, and build a preponderance of people who have good things to say about your company. Now, bad marketers are also copycats. We see this very often, that people only use other people's content. We had a call from an attorney about a year ago complaining about a company that we hadn't done this work for, but we had originally built their website, and they were blogging on their own. And I use the term blogging loosely because what they were doing is going and taking trademarked, copyrighted articles from big name publications like Inc. Magazine and Fast Company, pasting them all into their blog, adding a little attribution about them, said this article was originally from Inc. Magazine or this article was originally from Fast Company, and thinking that they were doing good content development. That's illegal. That is a copyright violation, and the attorneys were coming after us. We had to take all the content down and came after that company and said, you know, you can't do that. Luckily, there was no lawsuit involved, but this company did something illegal. You can't just use other people's content. You need to write and share original ideas. So if you think about it, if you look at your last 10 social media posts that your team did, how many of them were your own content and how many of them drove people back to your own website? Ideally, you want to make sure that at least 60% or more of the content you're sharing is stuff that you've created bringing people back to your website. Now, you should share other people's content as well. To retweet people's content is a courtesy. It also helps you build relationships. To allow people maybe to guest blog on your website can be a good strategy. To sharing content that's really, really good that you like that saw it from a third party, that's fine if it's a component of your marketing mix. But the real goal to have smart marketers to think about social sharing as a strategy for driving people to our website. Either I'm taking the blog posts from my site and sharing them on social media, or maybe I'm natively creating a video like on Facebook Live, or writing a post on LinkedIn Pulse natively, because we know native content is going to get great distribution from the social media channels. But in that content that we're sharing, either in the text around it or in the content itself, we're then including something that links back to our own website and driving people back to our sites to take action. Bad marketers also expect instant gratification. I wish I had a button on my desk that I could push that said, do this right now, and in one day or 1 week, you will have leads coming in so fast you can't count them. Unfortunately, there's very little in marketing that's instantaneous. Marketing is that long game. Great marketing takes time and persistence and consistency. 44% of salespeople are going to give up after the first call, but 80% of sales are closed after 5 or more contacts. You need to give your salespeople a reason to make more follow-up. You need to help them making more positive communications. Think about it like a bank account. You make a series of deposits that the salespeople can then go cash in on. You use marketing to nurture relationships. You create reasons salespeople can have a follow-up call and give them something to talk about. You strengthen your branding and build relationships, and you reinforce your value with the information you share. And finally, our last smart marketing tip for today is thinking that SEO lasts forever. I think this was a month or two ago, a client called me and he was very upset because he stopped ranking for a certain search term in his marketplace, and he used to be on page 1 and he was really ticked off that he wasn't. His website had been built 6 years ago. He had no blogging. He was posting some jobs to his website, but he was doing nothing else to refresh content. Well, guess what? What you did 6 years ago does not last forever. SEO is a process, not a one-time event. And an ongoing SEO and content strategy is the key if you want to show up higher for certain specific search terms. Or as I mentioned earlier, you want to show up for more search terms. You have to be doing research. What are people searching for now? How popular are those keywords? How competitive are they? Where do we have a realistic shot of ranking highly? Then I have to think about on-page optimization. How do I upgrade the SEO quality of the pages on our website? And how do I add more pages that are optimized? And the easiest way to do that, again, is through regular blogging, regular job posts, regular adding testimonials, regularly adding case studies. So I'm always adding new content that's optimized, but also off-page optimizations. Things you're doing off your website to drive people to your site, setting up your Google My Business page, guest blogging on other sites, having a press release distribution program where your press releases are optimized for search, having a YouTube video distribution program and optimizing your videos, doing RSS submissions of your blog content to other websites that will take your feed so your blog content's appearing in more places, and that drives more inbound traffic. Doing the planned social sharing of your content with everybody on your team, or if you need help, outsourcing it, people like us, to get help with that social sharing. And then being active in your industry, blogging on other sites or adding comments to forums in your site, like on ASA Central, great place to share content if you're looking to influence the staffing industry. And what you're thinking about doing is, I'm trying to use all channels of communication to improve how my site is optimized, who's finding my website, and once they get to it, the website, to increase engagement with the site. As you said, it's not about spending more money. Everything we've talked about in the last hour didn't require a major investment. It required a little bit of rethinking about the investments you're already making, rethinking specifically the time you're spending, what you're doing and how you're doing it, and then thinking smarter. All right, and just to wrap it up, I will stay on the line today for questions. There's one thing I want to point out, and obviously for those of you who know us, some of our service is listed here, but at the middle of this slide, right next to that cute little girl, there's a note to get our smart marketing checklist. As part of our commitment to smart marketing for 2018, we put together this checklist with 150 questions. These are all yes, no that you can do to evaluate virtually every aspect of your marketing. You can look at your website, your recruitment marketing, your social media, your SEO, etc., to figure out what are we doing well and where are opportunities for improvement. You will really enjoy going through that. It's a great exercise for any of our current clients. If you want us to go through it with you, you want us to look at specific aspects, give us a shout. We'll be more than happy to work through that smart marketing checklist and work with you on a roadmap for 2018. All right, and lastly, again, thanks very much to everybody for being part of today's webinar. I hope that you took home 1, 2, 3 or more ideas that you can implement for your smart marketing, and I'll hope you join us for our upcoming webinars. Next week, we will be doing a demonstration of our Digital Dominance 2018 product bundle, a really amazing mix of services that we have put together into a package with a big $3,200 savings for people looking to have a truly strong and pain-free to manage online marketing program. So Brad Smith and Brad Biley will be walking you through all the things we're doing in Digital Dominance, including the new stuff we've added for this year. And then our next webinar sort of ties into our last bullet from today. It's going to be all about SEO in 2018 and new rules for staffing firm, and that's coming up on May the 10th. So from all of us at Haley Marketing Group, thank you so much for being part of today's webinar, and we look forward to seeing you at a future event.